Okay guys, welcome to another video. In today's video I wanted to talk about a couple different things all in one video. First thing I want to talk about is using your gear. Going through your outdoor gear, be it knives, axes, tents, ponchos, bushcraft gear, camping equipment, and going through it and using it. Now you hear that term used a lot, and a lot of people, the first thing they do is make excuses. Well, I don't have the time in my life right now to go on a bushcrafting trip or a camping trip. Maybe when this happens or this happens. With that mindset, you're never going to. The instant making excuses, like if you continue to do that, your excuses are one of the easiest things to make in life. So what does that mean? Get out and use your gear. It is pretty self-explanatory, but in this video I thought I'd explain. You can see part of my house in the background. You can see my dogs playing. You can see part of my truck in the driveway. You can see the garden over there and some random trash that I have to pick up in the yard. I'm not out in the middle of nowhere. A lot of these bushcraft videos, a lot of these preparedness, bug out bag videos, they make you think like you need to be going on some outdoor, 7-day remote, middle of Alaska, middle of nowhere camping trip to actually fully test and utilize your gear. And that's just wrong. That's easy to say, and with that mindset, that'll probably never happen, But what it means, today is a perfect example. The sun's out, it's a little bit cold, it's a little bit windy, but some of the best times to test your gear is in windy weather, cold weather, or raining weather. Especially if you are a blue-collar worker and you work outside, there's a high chance the only days off you get like throughout the week is maybe inclement weather, raining or freezing rain, snow, or very cold temperatures. And those are, you can use them to your advantage when it comes to testing gear, because those are some of the best days. It's hard to do other things. It's hard to just go to the beach or, go spend money on stuff you don't need. But those are some of the best days to actually test your gear. The reason why is if it works in freezing rain, if it works in, thunderstorms, if it works in strong winds, then on that bright sunny day, right, that magical day that you have to bug out, it should work in those conditions as well. So you can use those to your advantage. Now what we're looking at here, I've kind of walked around, is this super tactical, high speed, ultra tier 1 elite military shelter. No, I'm kidding. This is the second part of this video, or the second thing I wanted to cover, is utilizing your gear. You don't need to spend, because there's a current trend in the kind of bushcraft community or tactical community where you have to buy military grade equipment because that's what the elite fighters use, so that's what you need to use as well. And that's partially true with those high priced military tactical things. You generally do get high quality, but you get a high price tag. A lot of those companies are priced high not because of their quality, but because of military contracts and NSA, like kind of complicated stuff that I'm not going to get into. And I'm not going to call out company names, but you don't have to buy super high speed military gear. What we're looking at here is a Kelty Salida 2. I've had this tent. It's a 2-person tent, very lightweight, very compact, for a handful of years. It's been in storage for a while because when I was young and dumb, it came with a rainfly, and I might have started a fire a little too close and not paid attention to the wind direction, and it might have ended up with a lot of holes in the rainfly. But the actual, canopy is is strong. There's no holes in the bug netting, so I didn't want to throw it away, but I wasn't using it because I didn't have a rainfly. Yeah, I could have bought a rainfly, but so it just sat in storage and I didn't use it. It was taking up space, and I didn't really care. It's a lightweight compact tent, but I also had this multicam tarp laying around, so I was like, I'm gonna see if they integrate and work well together, and to my surprise, they do. They pair really well, and what you end up with is kind of a camouflage, tactical looking tent shelter. And it's two items that aren't compatible, but otherwise wouldn't be compatible if you didn't go out and test your gear, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about. I had two different things laying around, and I was like, you know what, that would be a cool combination. It would be a screened in 2-person lightweight tent, also in cool guy camo. So I came out here today, just hanging around the house, had a day off, and put it together, and it works well. And then very quickly, because some people might want to know, this is a Kelty Salida 2. They don't make this tent anymore. It's called the late season or late start, 2-person, 3-person. And Kelty tents, a lot of people don't like Kelty. When it comes to Kelty tents, they're actually pretty good. I have a bigger Kelty tent as well, and I've had this tent for years. You can see it has a nylon tub instead of that like tarp-like material. It puts together really easy. The poles are orange, so they're hard to lose. You don't have those sleeves that you have to thread through. I put this up by myself and a little bit of help from my partner, but it sets up super quick, and then you just have these clips, right? Really easy. And then this is a Velocity Systems Basha tarp that I've had for maybe a year, and I bought it with good intention, and then, like I said, kind of made excuses. Things got in the way, life got in the way. I put it in a pack, and I was like, eventually I'll find a need for it, but just don't have the time. So everyone is but yeah, Velocity Systems Basha tarp. Some people will say it's too expensive. Everything has gotten more expensive, and this, when I bought it, I think it was like on sale. It was $100. I don't know what they are new, and after using this a handful of times, you can see even high quality gear. These loose threads here, I'm going to burn off, but I thought I'd leave. Another reason to test your gear. Is this affecting the quality? Probably not. But it's kind of a nuisance on a high-priced tactical piece of equipment. So that's another thing I wanted to call out, is this Kelty super inexpensive tent. The new model of this is like a little over $100, which is pretty cheap for a good quality tent. When it had the rainfly, never leaked. The zippers have never jammed up. So this is a poor man's or a cheap tent, but super high quality. There's no rips anywhere. There's no quality control issues. Conversely, this is the high quality cool guy company, Velocity Systems. I'm not bashing the product. I'm just trying to prove a point. You got loose fraying strings. So, that's the other reason to test your gear. Yeah, you can buy all the cool Gucci tier 1 gear, but then when you go to, test it 10 years after buying it, when the boogaloo happens or the end of the world comes, you might find out there's a big old gaping hole or a rip or a, otherwise defect that renders that item useless. So, the outside of this shelter. It's roughly a 6x8 nylon. Nylon thin. It feels like a parachute. Very thin nylon. They claim it only to be water resistant. I don't understand why. And then in one of these corners, this corner, it has this pocket that your head fits into, so you can use it as an impromptu poncho. I'm a big fan of carrying ponchos with me because they're multifunction. The advantage of this over a poncho is, one, it's going to actually be more compact than a poncho, USGI poncho, even though it's larger. And it's going to be lighter. This tarp only weighs 15 ounces. You can use it as a poncho, which most tarps you can't. Basha, I don't know how you say it, but I think it's more of a British military term, and I think it's just a different name for a tarp shelter. I think, a lot of the, British military jargon's kind of cool, so I like that name. Like I said, I think it's 80 inches. I think it's almost 7 feet wide by 8 feet, so it's a little bit larger than a poncho. Your normal poncho is about 5 by 7, and this is going to be almost 7 feet by 8 feet. Which, again, a lot of people like to try and stay lightweight and get all this compact gear, but when it comes to shelters, the bigger the better, within reason. If you get too big of a tarp, it gets very hard to stake out, and especially set up with one person, and sometimes it might just be too big for you. So again, Velocity Systems Basha, 5 stars minus a couple small defects which are very easy to fix. These Kelty 2-person tents, 5 stars, and I believe he's giving it 5 stars as well. He wanted me to let you guys know, but yeah, using your gear. And the other thing is, this is just bank line. It's not some high-tech Kevlar, ultra expensive. This is 36 bank line. A lot of people like to use paracord. Paracord, when it gets wet, it stretches, and it's just a little heavier and a little overkill. But this is 36 bank line, really inexpensive. The stakes I'm using came from Lowe's in the garden department. They're like ABS plastic, but they're larger, and they hold in the ground really well. And I got them on clearance, pretty inexpensive. So, in closing out this video, the expensive gear isn't always necessary. Sometimes you get advantages in higher quality or lighter weight, or it might function better. But also, as long as you don't buy very poor quality, you don't always have to go super top of the line to get something that works. But again, hopefully you guys like this video. Just wanted to offer a word of encouragement, if you will. If you're a self-proclaimed gear whore like I am, and you have a lot of gear, go out and use it. And by using it, I don't mean go on some 10-day adventure to the middle of nowhere, because me, along with a lot of people, aren't able to do that, all that much. But go into your backyard. If you live in an apartment, look on some maps and find some city property that's public. I used to live in the city with no yard, but I was kind of resourceful, found some property that had trees and stuff like that, so I hung out there and tested the gear there. Go to a city park. Yeah, people might think you're weird, but that just adds, that's just a factor you have to factor in. But yeah, do it in your backyard, do it in your front yard. Who cares if people see you? It's not that big of a deal. So go back to my homepage, watch some of my current videos. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.